Today's class is on Authentisign. So let's share my screen so we all can get on the same page. Oh, so the thing about Authentisign is we also need to have the template sheet. I'm going to share the document in the chat, and I'll go into the Facebook group and put the link to it there as well. We will need this. Okay, so the link is in the chat right now for anybody who needs it. And then let's go to Facebook and put it in there just really quick so that anybody can always refer back to it if they need it from there. There we go. Good deal. Okay. So can everybody see my screen?
Yes.
Yep, excellent.
Or I can.
Okay, as long as you can, then everybody else should be able to. Mine might look a little bit different than yours because in my MLS class, I teach this, but you're able to change these little boxes, except for the first one, to whatever suits you the best. So mine might look different, but what is the same for everyone is that they have these tools up at the top. And that's how most often I have people when I'm walking them through documents, I have them go this way. So the place that we want to be to talk about the Instinet forms is here on the transaction desk. So however you need to get in there, you'll want to be in there so that you can put together your template. That's probably the most important part of this class is the templates that you will go ahead and put together. But we'll go over all of the different icons here. And the other thing that people find very important is the clauses. And I'll teach you how to put those in so that you can just update your forms with your clauses. So just like that other, the MLS dashboard, the dashboard for the transaction desk can be moved as well. The thing about the transaction desk, though, to move it to the way you want it, you first have to unlock the dashboard, and then you're able to move these tiles to whichever way you'd like. I like having that create a tile or create a transaction tile somewhere pretty quick to click. That way I can get to my templates fairly quickly. I then like to have my transactions and then being able to see my Authentisign. To me, it's not that important to see my forms because it'll show you which is the last form if you have it the way I have it denoted, which is the default, which is to show the last thing I touched first. But that one is not as important to me as making sure that I have my transactions and my Authentisign close by. The rest, I don't really have much use for. I'll put these over here. And once you get them the way you'd like them, go ahead and lock her back up so that they don't move, unlike the ones on the MLS. So that's that little lock at the top. And then if you ever run into problems, the nice thing about Transaction Desk is they have a lot of great videos that you can watch. Plus, the people at the Transaction Desk are super helpful walking you through things if you ever need help. So up at the top here, next to the wolf that is baying, there's this little free bar, which I call the hamburger. I don't know where I heard that, but I've always called it the hamburger. If you click on that, it will tell you what these icons on the left-hand side of your screen are. The first one's the dashboard. The second one takes you straight into the transactions, which you get a glimpse of right here. The third one, Authentisign, where you get a glimpse here. The fourth, forms, you get a glimpse of that here. Documents. Documents is a little bit different. If you have a team and you have documents that you have created outside of Instanet and you want those included in, let's say, either your buyer representation or let's say your listing. Maybe there's items that are part of maybe how you do your presentations that you just want to have here so that when you're putting together your buyer rep paperwork or your listing paperwork, that it just comes up automatically. That's where you'd want to put them, is right there in those documents. Tasks. We don't use the task on this system. Other companies, they don't have a system like Command. We have a class and everything that goes over the command tasks, and we've talked about that maybe ad nauseum for some of you. So I don't go over that here. Contacts, that's a list of all the contacts that you've put in the entire time that you have been here, and they have them alphabetically by first name. So it can be a really extensive list. Next is the partners. Now, this isn't something that I use very often because once again, if you only had this system, a lot of, real estate teams and brokerages, when they're smaller, this is all they use. So they don't have Command like we do that has all these things already incorporated in them. So they go ahead and put these partnerships together. Then there is the settings. And to me, that's where we spend most of our time. First in the settings is the preferences. So you want to always go in and check that the preferences are correct for how to contact you. So for here, the big one to me is a lot of times people will have different emails. I have Weichelberger at KW, which is what I was given when I first started. And I used that forever. And then when I was on the mega team, they gave me Winona, and I found how easier it was to have like a nice short email name. So our emails through Keller Williams is allowed to have 5 aliases on it. So if you want a different email than you received when you first joined, you in and create a different one, which is what I did. So I have now Noni at kw.com. So I wanted to make sure that I got my email going to that. So I changed that. Maybe you're on a team. You'd want to make sure that whatever email's in here is the one that you check the absolute most.
So Winona, I have a question.
Please.
Can you put more than one email in there or not?
No, that's a great question. I don't know the answer to that. Let's see if we can. That red box would tell me you couldn't. Yep. Looks like you can only put, let me try it if we just put a space. Yep. Nope. It looks like 1 per.
Okay.
Yep. Now, if you need things to go to more than one person, I think there's ways to do that as well. But I think that that'll be later on in our Authentisign type thing. Okay, the office information. This gets automatically set in place by our office. There is no way, you can see there's nothing to click or to change because they won't let us, which is just fine. Your email signature, you can go ahead and create an email signature. Perhaps you have one with maybe some legal verbiage that you received from Greg Hartos. And maybe you want to put that there. That's up to you. You can go ahead and put your branding in there. I have a photo. And then the login, I never touch this because I always go through MLS and I wouldn't want to screw that up. So back to program settings. So this way, this is letting you change how, when you're at the dashboard, how you see the items in here. You know, which one comes up first. And all that is preference. If you like things alphabetical every single time, you know, right now my, it looks like my contacts are alphabetical in there. And it looks like that's must be the default because there's no place to change that. That's fine. The default setting, however, is that the last thing you modified in descending order, so last first, is how they come up. And then mine's in a list. You can have it either in a list or a grid, depending if you're a visual person, that might be something that's better for you. I don't create cover sheets because I don't use faxing. I do use the wizard, and I do allow PDF data importing. And that is good. Same with the document setting. I have it, the last thing that was modified is the first thing that shows. I don't do checklists in here, so I don't use that. The form setting. Now here it's asking, it's set by the name of the form. And then this is asking, how do you want the text to be in there? And I have it Courier bold. I have the default size to 9. Now, I believe if it goes under 9, if you wanted to change it to something smaller, you don't actually want to do that because anything that's smaller than that can be construed as small print, and you wouldn't want that. So we have the auto saving, and then you can create a copy when emailing. Fax settings, I don't use those. Don't fax from here. I don't use the tasks on here. The email settings, I do have things that go out to my clients sent as a link. Now, there is a default to allow the forms to be edited. So this is when, let's say I have a thing and I want the seller to fill out the seller's disclosure online, because that's way for me, because you can actually read them if they fill them out online. And when you send them here, it just takes them straight into the different documents. So they can type it up. It's not, you know, in chicken scratch, depending on, you know, who taught them how to write. So I would send it out then as an editable link. Update that. Authentisign settings. I have those being the last thing that I modified is the first one that shows. And then I don't have a print driver on the Authentisign. That's not the same thing as like our drivers at work or anything. And then markup settings. Markup settings is when, let's say you forgot to put a checkbox in, and then you go into mark up the document before it gets signed. I always, because those check marks tend to be really small if you go in, I have it defaulting to 16 so it fills up the whole box. And then, any questions so far about the settings on this? Pretty
Winona,
boring.
yes, I do. I have a quick question on email settings. So we should leave it at default link to allow editing of forms.
So I do allow that because it's only when you send it over as a emailed document. It's not when you use the Authentisign to sign anything, but let's say you have a transaction and you want them to, for example, this is one of my withhelds. I want them to fill out the seller's disclosure form.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and click into that. And I'm going to send it to my client to fill those things in. So we're gonna go into File, Send Email. And I just want them to do that seller's disclosure. And so it double checks with you to, are you sure you want to allow them to edit the form? I absolutely do. I'm going to pick a date way in the future that it expires because I don't care if it never expires. I'll be picking this up and downloading it at another time. So I'll send it to her because you can go in right to the contacts of the transaction and it goes straight to them. Here is the form you can write online. And then I'll send that over to her. But that, you know, that's the only one that you would probably have where you'd have them fill it out. The other form that I use that editable link for, and I use it for myself, is when I'm going over to the property to measure the whole property. I send myself the input form so that I can just go from my cell phone and put, see, I can send it, so you can send it to somebody in the transaction by clicking on that. I'll send it to myself. And then I'll allow the editing, and I'll put that way out there as well. So that when I'm at that place, this one happens to be a 368-foot condo, but I can send it to myself. I can check off, you know, oh, that's right, they do have a dishwasher, or any of the things that are on that form while I'm in the property. And then while I'm measuring the rooms, I can put those measurements right while I'm there. And then I save it right on my phone, and it saves right back here in the form. It's super slick to do it that way.
Got it. Wow.
Yeah, I know, isn't that nice?
Wow.
Really makes it easier.
Thank you.
Of course. So then those linked applications is kind of the same thing. If you have an Apple, I guess you can go straight into this transaction desk. I don't have an Apple, so I don't have this downloaded. Notifications. I like to know when my clients go and take a look at their forms and all of that type of thing. So I do go ahead and have these all checked. The review of documents reset, that's going to be me doing that, so I don't have that checked. And then we don't have our broker reviews done right here in this application. We put all of our documents into Command and they review them from there. So I don't have anything set for that. Once again, we don't do tasks here, so I don't have that listed. But Katina,
Yeah,
this is where I think you might want to be looking at having more than one person looking at the
Yep.
document. Is that I would probably be in here wanting to know when any of the transactions is created on any account that
Right.
is paired to you by your team.
That makes
So
sense.
that's where you
And-
can share that.
Okay,
Okay?
that's helpful.
Yes. Awesome. Okay. So then this is like one of my second favorite things is the clauses. If there's something that you write over and over and over, and you maybe have it on a document, a Word document saved, or you were at Greg's class and you're like, oh, I want to remember how to say that when it's time. You can save it as a personal clause. So the clauses that I have, so I have an appliance clause, just so I don't have to write the appliances over and over and over again, which is fine. I do have the appraisal clause. So in regular times, when you are writing conventional offers, conventional offers are not actually contingent on the appraisal unless you say it is. So when I'm trying to protect my clients, not when we're overbidding a property, that's a different discussion. But let's say, because I'm not afraid ever of putting offers in that are lower ball offers on properties. But if my client then decides, well, we will pay what the listing agent is saying to protect them, sometimes most times I'll say, hey, we can put this appraisal clause in so that they would have to renegotiate or let us out of the deal if it does not appraise, Now, that doesn't work necessarily. It wouldn't work in this crazy market where people are like, I'll take care of the gap to $10,000, things like that. But in a regular market where we are not insane, I have used this over and over again. And it doesn't generally come to play, but it's just one more protection for your client. I have an escalation clause because although Mr. Hartros does not like us using those, they are a fairly effective tool, and I've gotten offers accepted because of those. And this is the verbiage that he said to go ahead and use. And then for my after inspection, I like to use the same words each and every time. So for example, I put based on the results of the home inspection, then I always put the date in. The buyer is requiring that the seller at the seller's expense address the following items. I just have a consistency in how I do those kind of things. Now I do want to add, I just got that new contingent on, I'm sorry, I should explain what we're doing. So to add one, you have to go up to the top, you press the add, we start a new clause. We need to make sure that we title it, and I'm going to put contingent on seller finding a property. And I will spell that correctly. And let me go into my, hold on. I'll be right back with that laws. We just got it from Greg last week. And I had it in that recap email. Oh, that one. Okay. Hope it's sent. There it is. I believe that's it. Nope. Well, there it is. Contingent for sellers finding property. Okay. Here we go. So this is for when your clients don't have a place yet to go into and they want to make sure that the offer that they're accepting is contingent on them finding a property of their choice. So we put a date in there just to have a date in there. So I would be changing that. This purchase agreement is accepted contingent upon the sellers securing a property of their choice by such and such date. Securing property is defined to meaning locating and negotiating a purchase agreement through inspection contingency period on a home of their choice, providing the buyer with written approval of this contingency. If the seller does not provide written removal by this date, they can mutually agree to extend the period in writing, or either party may declare this canceled. It's just a way to make people feel comfortable while they're looking and putting their house on.
Winona, where did you find that verbiage?
I got it straight from Greg Hartos because we had discussions about it during Ignite. And so it was in my wrap up. But I do have a document that has the clauses that I use.
Yeah,
And I will send those to whoever would like them at the end of class.
I would love them.
I would definitely send that to you. And know
Thank
that
you.
we are actually looking at more clauses. Greg and I have conversations all the time about this to see if there's other ones that we need to maybe have in there for everybody. But I'll give you what we've got so far. So that's how you do the clauses. Now, to apply any of these clauses, for example, that one, because that would be an addendum to a purchase agreement. You would have that like on the very last page, or you would use that as you would get the offers in, and that would be your counter offer. You know, you would put it in your counter to somebody. So I'm going to grab just to show you how to put it in. I'm going to grab this. This is already a closed transaction, so there's not going to be a counter for them, but I'll show you how you would use this. You would go to forms. You would add a counter. We never countered on that one, so there's not one there yet. And it's thinking. And it pops usually in the middle. Closer to the end this time. So, oh, we did do a counter on that one. Anyway, but you would go to the big section, or you know what, on this one, I wouldn't do it as a counter, quite frankly. I'm wrong, because you're not going to have enough room to do this clause. It's going to be too big. Let me just make sure. Actually, it does fit in there. So that's where I would put it. You know, and you change this date to whatever date that is. Yep, I'll get the clauses to all of you. Okay, so you can change it to let's say April 15th, if it went on today. But it's just so much easier to be able to go into a document and press that clause, and then you don't have to worry, did I spell it wrong? Is it the right way to say that? All of those things. It's something you use every time. And if there's other ones that you happen to use all the time, you know, make a clause. If you use it, if you have to type it up more than 3 times, I figure you should make a clause for it, because you're doing it all the time. Why repeat that? You know, that's why I have like the appliances as a clause, because then I can just copy and paste. Usually though, for appliances, I go back into the, because that's for the buyer. When you're writing offers, you grab those. I always grab them right off of the MLS document. So we're aware of what they're saying they offer up for appliances. And then we add any if they didn't put any in there and try to negotiate that in. Okay,
Hello,
so those are clauses. Did anybody have questions about clauses?
Pam, how are you? Oh, kind of feel like a one-legged man.
Tommy's busy. We get it, Tommy. Okay, so that's the clauses. I just think that that's such a great way to, and it's so much easier. I like easy. Everybody knows.
And you
that
got
about me.
you got to clauses through the settings, the 3-wheel gears,
Yep,
and it.
the gigs and yeah, the gears, and then to clauses, and then you can go into personal and you can add them there. Got it?
Beautiful.
Excellent. And I'll send them to you as well, Jill. Everybody who's on the call will get them. I'll just go in and copy your emails. Okay, so from there is the type management. Once again, you know, if you wanted to add any other, maybe you've got a contact that you would like and they just don't have it on here, you can add it. It's just what they have is pretty extensive, so I don't ever change those. And in the documents, which type of documents they are, you can add a different type, but they're pretty much all in there. Property types, you know, they've got what we need. Service order, we don't generally use those, so it doesn't really matter. Service providers, we don't contact our service providers through this system, so it doesn't really matter. Transactions, there's different types of those. These are all the default settings. I just don't see any reason why to change those. However, you might have a reason to. Just know that you can. You can always add to any of these things. Transaction, you know, maybe you want to add your, maybe you have a transaction coordinator and you want to add them into that. Whatever you'd like to do. I mean, you can do that. But these are the ones that are defaulted to us and the different type of status. And then checklist manager, once again, we do our checklists in command. This is for those that do this all here. Transaction template. This is what most come here for. So, and in the chat, did everybody see the link in the chat to go ahead and pick up this document so you can see what needs to be in the different templates?
I don't see
Did
it. I might
everybody see that?
moments later.
Say that again?
I don't see it because I log in a few moments after. If it could be
Oh, okay. I'm gonna reshare it. Hold on. Let me click it, copy,
Thank
and
you.
then let's bring it back. And then I always put it in the Maple Grove page on Facebook underneath the name of the class, just because if somebody's watching this in a video later on, you can go ahead and see it there as well. because I know a lot of people watch my videos and then they say, hey, where do I get that? So I want to make sure that there's an easy way for them to get it always. So you can always see that there as well. So let's share the screen. I'm going to do it so I can see. Okay. So I'm going to split my screen with the transaction desk on one side and the templates on the other. Of course, I want it the opposite. Hold on. Here we go. So,
Whoa.
can you see it all? Do you see both screens?
Yes.
Right, good. That's exactly what I'd like. Okay, so I need to move you guys down below though. Oh, I need to move this just slightly over to press the add button. So to add your templates, press the add button and then you name your first one. And for most of it, it's going to be the new buyer pack. And then I always like to date it so that I know when I created this. So February of 2021. What type is it? It's a residential sale anytime we're doing something with the buyer. So we save that. We scroll down. If you did chest lists, you do that here. Contacts were already automatically put in there, but let's say you do have a transaction coordinator that you might want to be part of this. You could add them here too. Maybe you have an admin that you want to be part of this. You could go ahead and create a new contact and go in and you could add, you know, a little admin spot or whatever. There's also an other that you could use and you could add them in. Documents and folders. If you have documents that you want your buyers, every time you do a buyer rep meeting with people, if you have like a buyer rep, a couple pages that maybe explain about you, or I've seen it where people have done, you know, the process of a sales transaction, you know, where they make it into a monopoly board. That would be something you could put in here so that every single time you do the template, it's included with your buyer documents. Maybe you have a preferred vendors list that you want to work with buyers. Maybe you have your top 3 lenders there. Maybe you have your top 3 inspectors there. Maybe that's where you put Ron, the sewer rat, to do the sewer inspections. You know, you can have that right here so that every time you do new buyer paperwork, it's here. You don't have to go looking for it in your old emails and things like that. It's just slick and easy. So you would put that in the document. But then the important one for us is getting all of these documents into the folder. So the way I do this, you can go searching for them one by one, but that's not what I do. I just go to the search field and start typing in what's there. So agency relationships. And once you start looking for it, it auto-populates. I click in so that that circle fills. And then I can see that it's in my basket. And once it's in my basket, I just take the name out and I go to the next one. Buyer rep agreement. And make sure that you're doing exclusive. The only time you do non-exclusive is if you're somebody who works with a lot of investors and they don't want to do an exclusive buyer rep. And that's fine. Once you see that that's in your basket, take that out of that field and put our brokerage disclosure. Oh, you got to spell it right. There we go. Click on that. See that it adds to the little basket. Get rid of it. And then affiliated. So we want to have our affiliated disclosure in there. Once you get it in there, back that out for your protection so that I get to see the for your protection. There you go. Get an inspection. There's a little thing they want us to make sure they get every time. And then there's the radon in real estate little pamphlet. And then for some really lively reading, the lead paint brochure. Oh, brochure. There it is. Once you have those 7 things in your basket, that's all of them and it's in order. Press add. I always press update to make sure that everything saves. And then we have everything we need to do our buyer representation automatically. So then we can go back into the cog, into the transaction template. We will see that depending on where yours, you might have only one, but I do this class every month. So I have to scroll down to see where I have it. New, there it is. New buyer pack 2021. And I just double check that the forms are all there, and they are. Awesome. So now we'll go and do the new listing tab. We go and press the add button. We name it listing tab. And I'm going to put new listing pack, new listing pack. 2020. And this one is a residential listing. So make sure that you have that correct in there. Once again, going to forms. And once again, filling in these forms. So making sure that there's agency relationship. Clear that out. The listing contract exclusive. Right to sell. That. Showing instructions. That. The input form. And make sure that it's for single family residential. If you do a lot of multifamily properties or apartments and things like that, there's a different form for the, and you can make your own little pack that's just for that. Okay. And then after that, it's the brokerage disclosure. And then once again, the affiliated. And net sheet is not the right way to put that in here. It is proceed. Seller's estimate of proceeds. That's what the real name of it is. You know what I'm going to do, because I'm going to just change that quickly here. So it's the right one. There we go. Much better. And after that, it is the seller's disclosure. Oh, it's sellers with. Okay, there's the alternative, and then under that is the seller's disclosure. Back that out. Lead paint disclosure. And make sure that it's the purchase one, not the lease one. I've seen a lot of mistakes over the years where people put the wrong one in. And then subsewage. Oh, there it is. So that's the disclosure that we want. And then the well disclosure. And that's at the bottom there. And then the location map, if you have those things. And then either the coming soon or the withheld. I put both into the packet just in case. Or maybe you're going to use both. You can do a withheld and then change it to coming soon. Once you have all 14 in your basket, press add. Press update. And there they all should be. Now we have one more transaction packet. And that is, go back to your little cogs, transaction template, the purchase agreement pack. So PA pack for February of 2021. And that's once again a sale. Go down to the forms. So if you're a buyer, you're doing a lot of buyer things. If anybody was at Ignite, I think this would be a great place to have that my promise to you that we were told about by Colleen. She does this really great letter that she includes with her offers where she promises that, you know, they'll be timely, they'll be good in communication, that she only works with pre-qualified buyers that have been with a lender that she's worked with for 10 or plus years. I mean, she has a really fun. If anybody is interested in that, I can send that. But I would put that, I would make that a little Word document and maybe put some fancy, you know, little heading or maybe on your team stationery or something like that and put that in the documents. But since we don't have anything like that for ourselves right this second, we'll go into the forms. So the first thing is that compensation to disclosure for the buyer tenant. And then get rid of that. The earnest money receipt. Okay. Get out of there and then purchase agreement. Now for that one, you have to scroll like 15 items down. It's way down there because it's on every amendment. See, it says MNAR purchase agreement, MNPA. We click on that one. And then sale of property addendum. And then personal property agreement. And then the counter offer. And then arbitration. And then
Why are we doing the counter offer on this if we don't know if we're gonna be doing a counter offer?
we include all sorts of things just in case for this purchase agreement pack. So for example, how often are you doing, sub sewage? I've done 3 of those in my entire career, but I am, I'm a pretty suburban, urban real estate agent. But this year I've done 3. So, we just have them included and you only need to put in what you need. Okay?
Thank you.
Lead paint disclosure. Make sure it's the purchase. Now, for the lead paint disclosure, you should be getting that from the agent. It should be in the documents, in the supplements when you're putting together your package. But in case it isn't, you can have it here. But they should always be saying if they know about lead paint in the property beforehand. CIC addendum. And then well inspection addendum. That's the subsurface and well inspection addendum. And then hidden down below is the COVID. Make sure you get the one that's for the purchase agreement, not commercial. And then once you have those 11, you can press add. And then update. And then we have those there. I'm gonna-
Winona, can you please
Yeah.
go over the CIC? I see that you checked 2 of them, and
Oh,
I didn't. It
it
says
didn't fill in 2 of them though, because if you go into what has come up, only 1 comes in there. Sometimes it's in different folders. So for example, when you're adding it, if you were to go looking in these folders, the same document will be in more than 1 folder. And so that's why when we're checking it, if there's a duplicate in another folder, it checks that one too. But I'll show you that even though I pressed CIC,
yeah.
it did more than 1.
Okay.
However, oh,
And I see right under it in black, it says MNAR 2020 forms, and under it says MNAR.
yep.
Okay.
So there's different folders it's in, but you can see that in the basket, it only counts as 1.
Okay, I was wondering, am I going nuts or what?
I
Okay.
know, and trust me, when I first started teaching this, I'm like, why is it doing that? But it's because it does,
Okay.
Some things
Okay.
we just have to accept, right? That
do.
that's the way it is, and it's technology, which is wonderful when it works.
Mhm.
And I'll get rid of- Okay, so then I do want to go into like the best way to use these, because what I've found, this is why we have changed it up instead of having MLS and Instanet and Authentisign all in one. We have it broken up. So I want to show you how easy it is to use these forms, these templates when you're creating your transactions. Okay. So for example, let's do a new buyer pack. So when we create a transaction, when you're working with new buyers, it's only the buyers, this is it in practice. I get that in reality, most times you're filling some of this stuff out, that first offer you're writing with a buyer. In reality, we should be having these discussions before we're, going forward that way. A really nice way to do it that I've been doing with a lot of my clients lately is, there we go, is by going in and doing a Zoom call with my potential buyers and going over the paperwork with them before we go into any properties and doing my buyer rep presentation on Zoom. It has worked super slick because I used to do buyer reps a lot of the times in coffee shops, quite frankly. You have their attention on Zoom much clearer. And just like how we're all in this class on Zoom, but each and every one of you have a front row seat to my documents. So do your buyers when you do a Zoom call with them to present this stuff. It is really, I plan on doing this from here on out because you really can capture them when they need, where they're at. It's been really great because sometimes I know that recently one of the people in Ignite had a real issue when they went listing appointment and the kids were running around all crazy, so there they are at the home trying to go over these documents and it was bedtime for the kids. So, they're crawling up the walls and it was very hard to get the parents to focus. I've had that same situation with at $1 million home, and they decided to go ahead and Airbnb it for a couple years, which made sense for their family. However, when we talked about, what I thought the proper price and stuff for listing it, their kids were literally, playing soccer in the living room and breaking stuff. So it was like, I would have loved to have a tool like this where you could probably have gotten them to sit down and concentrate just a little bit more. You can do it after the kids go to bed. You can do it on the fly pretty easily. You can ask them, oh, do you have a 15-minute time at work or something, just so that you can really get their attention. So let's go into the buyer rep, new buyer for 2021. Look at that. I have last year's there too. But it doesn't have the same document. There isn't going to be a source on this date because we're not anything from the MLS, from tax documents when we're just grabbing it from them. We're going to create this and it's going to run the wizard for us. There's nothing that we need to put here yet. We're not going to put any expiration dates because we're just doing their buyer rep appointment stuff. We will add their names. I'm going to use my buyers. I actually need to get them to sign this. So, and add her, making sure it's the buyer, making sure her email's in there. So it will go in automatically with everything we need to sign on Authentisign. And once they're in, we go to next. Now, for these clients, this is just the buyer rep agreement, all, the buyer rep appointment. So all of these apply. So we can press next, done. And then I just like going in. There's nothing to fill out on the first document. That goes straight into Authentisign. We're going to go into the exclusive. We're going to put today's date. We're going to put the 4 pages. We're going to say that it starts today. And then we're going to go out like 6 months or so. Broker's obligation. I don't take a retaining fee. I just put the 2.7. I put it shall. I'm just looking for personal property with them. They want me to take care of the title company. They will work with dual agency. And that's it. So I save this. I go up to the top of the transaction forms to this little house. And I go to the next one. I don't believe there's anything for us to put here. Oh, there is. I just need to change that to the $3.99. Press save, go to the next one. Actually, there's nothing else for us to, so I just save and exit. I'm in the forms from that transaction. I select them all. I put them in the basket and I go to the signature line or the signing little pen. And that'll take it straight over to Authentisign for me. So I'll put buyer's docs. I'm going to do it as first comes, first served because it doesn't matter who signs first on this one. I'll look at the participants. It's all three of us. I want to change me to a remote signer since it's the agreement and I will be signing. It gets all confused because I don't have a role, but I will when it comes time. So then we have all those documents. I just like to double check. They're in the order I want, but what if they weren't in the order I want? This is where I would change that. I can change wherever those documents need to be. Okay. And then I design it. Okay. So a lot of them autofill right in because we've have them where they need to be. So this is all filled in for me. Now I'm a little persnickety and I admit that. I like to put the signer's name underneath the signing. I also like to have the female's name first. And then when that happens, if we ever do inline signing, the girl gets it first. I have just found in my experience that if I have the guy first, then there's always discussion about it. I like the least amount of discussion possible about silly stuff. So we go in here. We need to put the initial in here for them because that doesn't automatically fill in. And you will get your, the compliance people will come after you. Oh, not the initial, I want the signature. But see how when you have a template all together, you're not rifling through the documents. All of it comes together at one time. I mean, it's just so slick. Any questions about that at all? Oh, it's not one of them. Oh, hold on. Okay. Initials. And that's everything for this. So I can just go ahead and send it to them. See how easy that is? I mean, when you have that template. Now what's crazy is how much easier like putting together the if we were to put an offer together for them. So for example, let's say, hold on. Okay, let's say that they really loved this property. Let's find one of their favorites. Oh, that's from when she was looking previously. Hold on. Let's go with this one. Let's say, because it's active, she wants to put an offer in. I can go straight from here, go into the Instanet forms. It's going to think. It's going to come and create a transaction for me. I can go into the purchase agreement pack for 2021. It's going to fill in all the listing data for me. I'm going to be listed as the buyer's agent. And it's thinking. So this is all already in there. I'm going to say they're going to go ahead and go to 280. They're going to put down $5,000 worth of earnest money. We're going to go back into that listing. This is what I said about how I just grab the appliances from here. They didn't list any appliances. Interesting. Well, let's say that they have just the regular ones that we always see. Looks like they have dishwasher, stove, hood. Looks like there's a microwave right there. We can just put those in.
Say, Winona, I have a question.
Yeah.
I remember someone saying that if they have the dishwasher and the stove and refrigerator all listed, you should not
Yep.
list them in this purchase agreement. Do you do that, or do you just list them regardless?
I always list them because if that line in the purchase agreement is blank, they do not have to leave them. Even if you offer more money, they have to be stated in the purchase agreement. Now, of course, the dishwasher is most likely, screwed in, so that's supposed to stay. But I always list it anyway, because I know of people in our office who've had to pay for appliances because they didn't put that in there. So I just don't trust, so I put it in every single time. I'm a little, like I just don't trust that they're gonna leave it, so I want to make sure that it is listed there.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah. Microwave. Clothes washer. And water. Okay. So then go to next. I'm going to put my offer date as today. I'm going to put my closing date as Ides of March. I'll go to next. I will add my people. And add Marty. So Jill, if you're still with us, this is where I get rid
Yes.
of the stuff I don't use. So this is obviously not a CIC, so I'm getting rid of that. This one obviously does not have a sewage treatment because it's in Columbia Heights. And it doesn't have, let's see. I'm not going to do a personally property because the house is empty and I've already listed all of the appliances on my purchase agreement. So I'm going to get rid of that. And the counter offer there in there just in case. But I go to next and then I go to done. And then when I go in there, go to forms. Oops. I have to go up to that little house on the top and we'll go to the first. I want to start and just go in order. This will all already be filled in. Most of the information that I need. I always have to go back in and take a look at what they're offering. 2.5. Jump. So if, you know, you were so inclined to do the other percentage, the 0.20 from them, that's your call, of course. I'll just put it in. Make sure you always save. But because I use the wizard in the front, look at how much is already filled out for me. The date, the earnest money, all of the legal description stuff, all of the appliances, how much I want to put in. I do have to put what their financing is and fill it all in. But it takes a lot of that stuff away. For me, this is about the easy button. That's what we're creating. Anything that will make writing an offer, because look at how long this took now for me to write this offer. It takes me about 5 minutes. I can do it in my car after a showing. Okay. And with, you know, just doing it over and over and over again, you guys are going to be able to do that too. Any questions?
This is being recorded, correct? And will it be
It
available where
certainly
again?
is, and you can watch it over. I don't know if you'll want to, but you absolutely have access to it to watch it again and to do a paste and to see. Okay. Any questions at all? Okay. Well, with that, then we shall bid everyone a fair adieu. Thank you for joining me today. I hope you learned something. I hope it will make filling out contracts easy. The whole point of this.
All right. Well, thanks,
Awesome.
Winona.
You're welcome. Bye, Karen.
Thank you.
Of course, Jill.
Thank you.
Yep.